Hi, welcome to 2020 Tasty Treats with GourmetQuilter. I'm Susan Clare, GourmetQuilter, and we're doing a whole lot of fun things this year, and this time we're doing a sampler. So it's a patchwork sampler, so there's 20 different blocks in our sampler. There's a picture up there on the wall, although I have one here. So we've got 20 different blocks where we've already started, so we've already done the first 5 blocks, not the whole pear yet, just the sampler part. So the sampler part is the little tiny block that's sitting within the pear. So I'm alternating, I've got 2 different greens, so we've already done the first 5 blocks here with the surround on. The surround is the lower part of the pear, and I'm alternating a lighter and a darker green as I go. So I'm up to number 6 this time. This is number 6 here. So I will get started and show you. So I have already done some of the work ahead. So this time there's a pattern download available through GourmetQuilter.com if you're interested. So this time we're making up this little block inside the surround, and we need some squares that we're going to cut into triangles, but they're a little bit larger than the last ones, and we can use both halves this time. So what I've done here is I've marked a diagonal line just with a pencil through the back of the square, and I'm going to place it right sides together with my coloured square, and then I'm going to sew not on the line this time, but 1/4 inch either side of the line. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this one. I've already done, we need to do 2 of these to make the block, but I've already done 1. So again, you can chain these through if you need to, or want to, or not. So that's one line 1/4 inch away, and now I need to come back and do another stitching line 1/4 inch away from that drawn line. So the drawn line this time is the cutting line. So I've stitched, you can probably see it better on this side, and now I want to cut along that line that I drew, so that's from point to point on the diagonal. And then I'm going to press those, and then we just need to trim them up a little bit. So I'm going to press them to the darker colour, just again being careful not to stretch them. It's on the diagonal, and we still like them to look square if we can. Things do move a little bit. We are working with fabric which is movable. Things don't always stay exactly as they might if it was a firm product like paper. It doesn't really twist a lot and things like that, but fabric can. So I want to just trim those down a touch now, and even though we're really careful how we sew them, things are never quite square the way they are when we've stitched and pressed them. So what I'm going to do here on my ruler, most little square rulers have a diagonal line, so I'm going to lay that diagonal line right on my diagonal colour change line there, and I want to get out of that, in this case a 2-inch square. So it's this square that I made is slightly wonky, but it doesn't really matter because we're trimming it to the size we want. It should be just a little bit bigger than what we're hoping for, so that we can do this trimming. Again, I'm placing that, I've turned the square around now, these are the 2 cut edges, and I'm going to place that diagonal line back on that diagonal stitching colour change line so that my edges line up here, and again I can just trim to get the size I'm looking for. So I'll go ahead and do the second one. We need all 4 of these, so you get 2 out of each pair of squares. And we're not trimming off very much, which means that we're really not wasting any fabric, which is great. And I'm back on the diagonal. I just got to trim these last 2 sides. So as you can see, very little to trim away, just tidies up the edges, everything's nice and square. So I can sew my squares together both the same way, 2 pairs sew in the same way. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that, and then we have to turn 1 pair round to make the little block up. So we'll get this sewn and pressed. So these seams are nestling because we press the fabric towards the darker colour. Where this sits together, that will nestle, so that's quite nice because then we get a nice join at the seam. And we can press these now. So I'm just going to press them the same way. We've made them both the same way. We do all of this part the same. So we're pressing the seam to one side, both the same way at the moment, because then what we're going to do is we're going to take this lower one and we're going to turn it around and put it on top, and so that these points meet in the middle and these two are out in opposite corners. And because we did everything the same but we turned it around, these seams now are going in opposite directions, so this will nestle when we join it together. So we'll go ahead and we'll do all this so we can see that it is working. So now we've got nestling seams everywhere. These will nestle and the one in the centre will nestle. So a whole nestling seam. And then the one at the other end where the triangles meet also. And we can press this. Now you could press that seam open if you wanted to. I'm just going to press it to one side because it seems to be coping quite nicely with that. So there's our little block. That's looking great. I've got the surrounds ready to go on. So I'm going to go ahead and put the surrounds on, and then I'll show it to you when I get to the other end of that part of it. So just sewing the last part of the surround on. And I can press that and put it up on the wall with the other blocks. I think that's looking really good. I'm thrilled with these little blocks. So we might come along here now, because that would be in the second row. So that's block number 6 out of our 20, so we're doing so well. And I will see you again with block number 7.